Kwalomhla siphindze sikwamukela ehlelweni lomuhla ekseni kungolesibili Kusile breakfast show on the 28th of November 2023. Siyajabula ukubuka nawe nalomhla ekseni angihambi ngedwa ngihamba neMphombeni. Mphombeni, very good morning.
Very good morning. How are you this morning? Sipilile. Only 2 days left ukuthi singene ku December. We cannot wait. Sifisa ngihlala ngibona nje ama memes bamasolo basho ukuthi ya lo December lo timbule ngitabe ngidena so.
No, lokuthi abantu ba understand how December inyanga lenkulu.
Inyanga lenkulu kakhulu.
Lemqwa kungadodo.
12th month, last month.
Yo, dalatlwana.
Thank you for joining us this morning. Sethemba ukuthi niphilile. Kukumbuka ukuthi you can also watch Kusile breakfast show and any other Eswatini TV program on our YouTube page Eswatini TV. Sanivusela lomhla ekseni. Sibonga konje ukuthi umntwana siphepisile kwade kwafika lilanga la namuhla. Sabeke senehlelo lolibhizi lomhla ekseni nje sitabe sikhuluma tona tindzaba letematheni, tindzaba tetingoti temgwaqo kanye netindzaba tetinyoka. Hlobo sengenile nje lokushokona ukuthi tinyoka nato sesikhathi taso. Umbiko wenhlangano nje iHealth Action International uyaveta ukuthi emhlabeni wonke abantu labalonywa tinyoka bakhubateke batinkulungwane letingemakhulu lasihlanu 500,000 kanti labashiya emhlabeni batinkulungwane letilikhulu nemashumi lamane 140,000. Inhlangano ke Eswatini anti-venom miningi imitamo leseyendile uzama nje ukufundisa sive ukuthi batiphephisa kanjani etinyokeni. Sitawube sina zakhele hlophe lomhla sikhulume ngako lokusuka khona Eswatini Anti-Venom Foundation. And later on the show we'll also be joined by Thembani Dlamini wehlangothi lwaka road safety etiko laka public works and transport kukhuluma ngetinyathelo letithathwa ngilelitiko kwanzisa lwati ngetekuphepha emigwaqweni. Lokho kulandzela ukuthi lamalanga nje kube netingoti temgwaqo letiningi lapha even sifuna ukuva ukuthi ingabe sibata uphuma nini balitiko kuhlola timotolo emgwaqweni ukuthi tiphephe kanganani ngoba siye sibabone balamgwaqweni batihlola ukuthi ngabe timoto tiphephe kanganani. Sifuna ukukhulumana naye ngaloko lomuhla ngapha 7.
Kanti-ke ngakulokunye inyanga yelweti ibuka kakhulu tindzaba temphana. Sibonile nje malangeni lasiphohlongo lendlulile umhlaba wonke ogubhe lusuku lwemphana iWorld Children's Day. Kanti-ke labacwaningango bayaveta ke ukuthi 1 in 10 children and young people are separated from their families. Abakhona ukuhlala nemindeni yabo munye kulaba lishumi. They are abandoned and neglected. So ke my effects aloko often last a lifetime, creating a harmful cycle that repeats from one generation to the next. Lokinto ke le kabi kakhulu siyafuna ke kuyikhulumisa kabanti lomuhla kulandzela ukuthi kuthiwa children and young people need someone who is there for them. Ngaso sonke isikhathi umntwana udzinga ukuthi nje kube nemuntu latamkhulisa, amlalele, aphindze amesekele no matter what. Noma ngabe ke simo sinjani. Sibuka ke nanasi simo lesichubekako eGaza, Palestine and Israel, the escalation in that conflict. SOS Children's Village is on the ground nalapho assessing the most pressing needs and deploying urgent support to families and children affected by the conflict. Umntwana uma angabe akakhuli nemuntu lamnakako kunengelo bese kuyenteka lekukhanza sekulimata umango wonke isociety at large. We want to unpack this conversation in detail with Malangeni Dlamini from SOS Children's Village lapha kaNgwane ngumchumanisi ke wakhona SOS. Kuva kabanti nje ukuthi umntwana kude akhuliseke kahle kufuna ukuthi kwentekeni ama challenges la khona ekukhuliseni umntwana lo ngasiye wakho njengoba sathi ukuthi be-SOS they do provide that service. Ukuthi ke labantu banavele bangakhuliseka kanjani ukuthi bakhule babe ngilabaqothwa kusasa.
Njalo mbukeli to stay with us kungmanje nje asibukele thamba imbili kumaphephandaba ethu lomhla. Asicala sibuke iTimes of Eswatini sibukele tihamba embili kanti kulihamba embili 8 injured as truck hits 6 cars and driver jumps off. Ngotkile na leyende itolo khona lapha eMbabane kulenye lehamba embili tindzaba te health crisis, government to buy drugs through emergency process. This after stockouts of various drugs, supplies and hospitals. Kanti-ke Health Minister Pierce head emergency procurement team. More on page 2. Kuletinye thamba embili, liphoyisa lithi there are meetings to overthrow government held in SA and Mozambique. Kanti nasibuka tindzaba boycott, class boycott after female student made to stand half naked. Kulenyele hamba embili, the Prime Minister says restoration of peace security is top priority.
Kutemidlalo Times of Eswatini lomhla ekuseni bathi-ke kunelifu lelimnyama lelikhungethe ibhola lapha kaNgwane as umdlali-ke wayo e-Premier League of Eswatini sebamukwaze waze washona. Dark cloud envelops Eswatini football as PLE player stepped to death. That's a very sad story. The late Ubombo Flyers defender Phumlani Mristo Masanga, who is the second from the right side, kunasist Fombeles corner, Sanalial Qembu, with his teammates ahead of a PLE league match at Mayaluga Stadium. On another one, NFD outfit Ubombo Flyers defender Phumlani Masango has been killed following a scuffle. The late National First Division outfit Ubombo Flyers defender Phumlani Mristo Masango nguyeke lokhu nasisithombe nasiya lofake iskipa lesimfubi. On another one, AE Boss Scoops International Post Athletics Association President Zakhele Dlamini has added another further to his cap. The ESRIC Darts League's finest player of the tournament, correctional ace Bafana Nkambule, nalabanye ke labakhona kuleso sithombe.
Alright, let's begin Eswatini Observer this Tuesday. Lathamba imbili sithombe sebafundi baka boys getting ready for their first Eswatini General Certificate of Secondary Education exam. Kulenyele hamba imbili, members of parliament told you are to blame. Former ambassador tells parliamentarians they have contributed to the country's negative image. Kulenyele hamba imbili, mother of 4 fatally stabbed by lover. Kantilenyele hamba imbili, outrage, a student paraded half naked. More on page 3. Kulenyele hamba imbili, 4,000 new HIV infections yearly.
Yeah, no, those are wild headlines. Anyway, sakubeka netemidlalo Eswatini Observer Sports this Tuesday morning, the 28th of November 2023. Dark cloud cover or over Ubombo Flyers as player has been stabbed 11 times and he died in that process. What a tragedy. That's the picture of the deceased Ubombo Flyers centre-back Phumlani Masango. Relief as Leopard player discharged from hospital. Royal Leopard supporters will heave a sigh of relief as the team's injured player Ayanda Gunene has been discharged from Hlatikulu Government Hospital esukweni la Itolo. Kanti-ke kuloyenye Bull threatened war against Nsingizini Capital City Giants. Mbabane Highlanders Public Relations Officer Kenneth Dlamini says they will tear Nsingizini Hotspurs apart when they meet during an MTN Premier League match at King Sopuza II Stadium elangeni lakusasa.
Nasibuka Eswatini Daily News lomuhla lethamba imbili, government begins induction of Tinkundla officials. More on that story on page 3. A great start for the Form 5 examination retake across the country.
Kutemidlalo Eswatini Daily News, Ubombo Flyers player has been stabbed to death. The talented defender Phumlani Masango was stabbed in a new popular nightclub at Galanga outside Sitegi on Saturday, a few hours after he helped his team to a 3-1 win over Pikes Peak Black Swallows. Gupta's shine in South African pool tournament, Premier League talking points. Those are the leading headlines this morning. Mokepanzaveni Elive or Matsatu. Swahlolet Magetes, Buya Sibugat in Zavata La Paika to Swat.
Umsakazo wetithombe iEswatini TV utibophelele kuhlonipha nekulandzela umgomo wetekusakata loweluswe libandla letekuchumana eveni.
Ngephansi kwalomgomo sitimisele kusakata tindzaba letiya ngaleso sikhatsi tindzaba letide magama laqosheme letitsembekile letitsinza tonke tinhlangothi naletisebaleni
kusukela kutepolitiki, tetemphilo, tekulima, tetinkantolo, netemhlaba wonke jikelele. Siniletsela tindzaba njengoba tinjalo ngaleso sikhathi letenteka ngaso.
Kanzi kulo msakato siphinde sikulethele lonke luhlobo lwetemidlalo kusuka emidlalweni welibhola letinyawo kuye emidlalweni ledlalelwa ematafuleni kanye naleto letiqhamuka ngaphandle kwakuleli.
Leti tindzaba lowutiletselwa ngumsakato wetitfombe iEswatini TV.
Nati tindzaba. Mvulankulu Russell Dlamini sewuvule ngalokusemthethweni umhlangano wetishayamthetho telive lotawutsatsa liviki lonke. Kulo mhlangano wetishayamthetho titawube tifundza ngendlela yakutiphatsa inchubo yeParliamentary kanye nekusebenzisana naleminye imikhono yahulumende. Mvulankulu uthi tishayamthetho atikhumbule konke lokwakhulunywa esibayeni tikusebente.
Mvulankulu Russell Dlamini uthi ingwenyama nemaswati bakhuluma esibayeni lesekusele manje ukuthi kusebendwe.
When we understand our roles and perform very well, we will be able to restore people's trust in our system of governance. Restoration of peace and security and tolerance for one another should be at the top of our priorities. The threats to peace and security, the threat to sustainable development that was experienced a few years ago demonstrated the need to change course on our approach to engage.
Tikhulumi letahlukene nato tibekile.
The objective of this conference is to capacitate us on what is expected of us as we execute our threefold core mandate, which is representation, oversight, and legislation.
Njengoba sikhumbula nje ukuthi indlu ivulwa ngumnikati ingwenyama mase sicala ke sisebenza ukhanze ukuthi lokunengi sesicishe sikuconzile sifundisene sabonisana lapha ukuthi kepha vele i-constitutional mandate yethu ithini sibhekeke ukuthi sendeni nje njengoba sitawuba seParliament.
Authentic leadership in our contemporary world cannot compromise on integrity. We are talking about leadership of influence. You know, asisungena nje emsebentini, ungena uphume, singeva tigitako.
I was at the recent Sibaya and followed most of it online as well. I know that the citizens spoke and they were very clear in their submissions. They called for increased economic growth and job creation. They called for improved quality of education, health and public services, addressing corruption, and improved public financial management. His Majesty capped it all by declaring poverty a national disaster.
Mhlangano utawutsatsa liviki kanzi ufaka totimbili tindlu. Ndzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosima Vimbela nginasibuva Shongwe kalobamba.
Mvulankulu Russell Dlamini uthi naye uyingcenye yalabo labathi akuphele ukuhlukubetana kwebantu. Uthi neParliament ayingene ekhathi idlala enzima ekulweni nokuhlukubetana. Mvulankulu kuvetele kungesikhathi avula umhlangano wetishayamthetho lobanjelwe eHappy Valley.
Parliament has also a very crucial role in fighting the escalating cases of gender-based violence. Gender-based violence should never be tolerated, which is the reason I also add my voice to condemn this act in the strongest sense. As legislators, we must task ourselves to critically scrutinize and determine if relevant existing laws are still serving us well, and legislate accordingly on areas where there are gaps.
Imvuna yelitiko letisebenti nenhlalakahle yato phila Buthelezi ithi itisebenti kumele titimbandzakanye nekulwa nesifo i-AIDS kude live lisincobe. Imvuna bekhuluma ngesikhathi ihlangene netisebenti talelitiko emsebentini nekulayita likhandlela kukhumbula labo labasishiye emhlabeni ngenxa yesifo i-AIDS.
Njalo ngenyanga yeLweti emave emhlaba agubha inyanga yokukhumbula labo labashiya emhlabeni ngenxa yesifo i-AIDS World AIDS Month kulungiselela lelanga mhla lulunye ngenyanga yeNgongoni. Ngalenyanga tinhlangothi letahlukene tiyaye tikhanyise likhandlela kukhumbula labo labashiya emhlabeni ngenxa yaso lesifo. Imfuna yelitiko letisebenti nenhlalakahle yato phila Buthelezi ngemsombuluko ihlangene netisebenti talelitiko kulayita lelikhandlela.
Likhandlela letibonakala as a ministry responsible for i-wellness ematiko ahulumende. Kube ngumsebenzi lomuhle lesiwuthathela etulu kakhulu ngoba siyathi iminotho iphazamisekile kakhulu nge-HIV and AIDS. La silahlekelwe i-labor force khona lenengi kodwa kuma-strikes level eseliwendile kuyethembisa njengoba si-achievile abo-95 labathathu ekulweni nayo i-HIV. Lokukhulu umuntu langakusho ukuthi asingahlali asisengayingcobe i-HIV asijinge sifake emandla ngoba singahlala si-relax itawuphinze ikhuphuke i-infection rate.
Sicubulo salonyaka salenyanga sithi imimango ihambe embili ekuncobeni isifo i-AIDS njengoba live nemhlaba lingasincoba lesifo uma imimango ihamba embili. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkel Swekhoza nginasimuva Shongwe eMbabane.
Imvuna yelitiko letinkhundla sikhumbuzo Dlamini nelibandla lelitiko baqalile kufundzisa emakhetfa yetinkhundla bobuchopho imvuna yenkhundla kanye nabomabhalane kabanti ngalokubheke ukuthi bakwende njengoba babahlonishwa abathenjiwe sive semaswati ukuthi ngibo labatawuba mahlahlandlela ekuthuthukisa imimango yabo.
Ngenhloso yokuthi amakhetfa asebenze awucondzisisa umsebenzi wawo ukuthi yini lekubhekeke ukuthi ayende ekuthuthukisa sive semaswati. Litiko letinkhundla lisukumise umsebenzi wemhlangano sikolo esimunye country club lapho khona litiko licatulula konke lekufanele kwatiwe ngiwo emakhetfa.
Asambele emimangweni siyawufaka umoya wekwakha lelive singafaki umoya lokubhidlida. Nawo ubhidlida lamuhla uthi lo muntu ngabe kungathiwa sekwakho kusasa ke ufuna uqala phansi ufuna kwendani kahle kahle.
Umphathi wesifundza elibonjeni iThemba Msibi ubeke kanjena.
Umsebenzi omkhulu ukuthuthukisa lelive. Umsebenzi omkhulu ukwenza ukuthi lelive libe nekuthula. Umsebenzi omkhulu ukuthi lelive nelivikele.
Kuvela kwamaswati esibayeni kusifakile esandla ekuthenini emakhetfa akhone kwati tinhlangothi lekumele tithuthukiswe ngekuphuthuma. Lokhu kufaka ekhathi kumikiswa kwemahhovisi ahulumende kubantu i-decentralization. Umbiko uhlanganiswe ngithembelihle Magutshwa ngisesimunye.
Sive siyaqapheliswa ukuthi lo mbiko olandzelako unesithombe senyoka lephilako. Kuke kwema kusebenza sikhashana etiko letasekhaya ngemsombuluko ekseni kulandzela ukuthi kubonakale inyoka kulelinye lemahhovisi. Tisebenti tikhonile kuphuma tibaleke tashayela labanebuciko bekubamba tinyoka labafike ngesikhathi bakhona kuyithatha lenyoka. Ngekusho kwathi Alicia Cohen wenhlangano lebamba tinyoka Eswatini Anti-Venom Foundation lenyoka bekuyindlondlo. Uthi kude lemlumile njengoba indlondlo ayisimvama kulumana ngaphandle nayiphociwe. Ucela sive ukuthi sitiphephise etinyokeni singatishayi tinyoka. Umqhudelwano wemabhizinisi ngekuthengiselana ngaphandle kwelakuleli lekungema Airport Trade Awards ayabuya lonyaka. Ngekusho kwaSibusiso Ntshangase longumphathi wetekuthengisa ngaphandle ngapaneni lekhanga abahlanyeli timali yeSwatini Investment Promotion Authority umema emabhizinisi ukuthi awungenele lo mqhudelwano atincome aphinze ancomane othwana.
Lapho sikhombisa khona noma kukhuthatha leto tingafanele tingtona tihlabene ekuthengiseleni ngephandle. Kuba ukuthi ke sibuka ukuthi tikhicite kanganani eSwatini tathengisa kanganani ngephandle. Uma tithengisale ngephandle emaswati labe yaqashiwe la eSwatini anganani kanye netimali njeke leti buyile tabuya evenda eSwatini tikhambale ngephandle ngenxa yokuthi sesithengisa ngephandle silive. leti nkampani ke sibuka lokuthi sitawuthi ihlela nje ngendlela ukuthi kukhona leti tithengise ku-AGOA, kukhona leti tithengisa e-Africa, kukhona leti tithengisa ku-SACU, kukhona leti tithengisa eveni lase-Asia, kukhona leti tithengisa futhi nase-Europe. Lokusho ukuthi ama-awards atawuhamba ngokuthi wena uthengisela iluphi ihlangothi le noma kuphi la emhlabeni. Bese ke sengilapho sikhona ke lokuhlunga khona ukuthi lo hlabene kulabo labathengisa ku-AGOA ngunawo, lo hlabene ke kulabo labathengisela kumbe ku-SACU ngunawo. Ngiloko nje lesingathi siyakukhuthaza kulamalanga ukuthi leto tinkampani athi tithole ama-nomination form, tigcwalise sitokhona lokuthi sithi recognize sikhona nalokukhombisa lokuthi kunalathi inkampani leti sebenzako even leti hamba embili.
Kulimele bantfu labatsatfu lokufaka ekhatsi bantfwana lababili ngemuva kokuthi umshayeli we-truck lokhumkelwe ngemabhiliki ayishiye ihamba yagcina ishayisa timotolo letisihlanu endzabeni yasemvakolitshe eMbabane ngetithuba tensimbi esikhombisa ekuseni ngeMsombuluko. Emaphoyisa athi labo labalimele baphuthunyiswe esibhedlela sahulumende eMbabane bacilongwa baphuma eMbabane kanti umchubi wale motolo yena usasesibhedlela njengoba emaphoyisa athi asaphenya.
Ijilo lithambela seyifike ngesivalo ngoba lebe bayishayela bajampile yafika yashala imoto lebomvu bese itihambela nje seyishayisa imoto tebantu.
Petros Mabuza lolinyalelwe imoto yakhe uthi wetamile kuyibalekela le truck lebese ihamba ngelitubane lelisetulo.
Kungilimete kakhulu sisi ngoba vele uma uyibuka nje nayo imoto lengeyisalungiseka la ayivele nje kuphelile kwayo nje nayo.
Emaphoyisa kutsata sive ukuthi sicinisekise ukuthi timotolo tibangileto letiphephile kuthi tingahamba emigwaqweni njengoba sekuta nemaholiday akhisimusi.
Ngaba ngikovele kuyale emaswatini nekuthi phela njengoba wonke umuntu athi ukuthi sengiso sikhathi sabonibilijane abathi phela nabasuka emakhaya timoto batibuke ukuthi tisezingeni lelingilo yini tifanele ukuthi tingaba semgwaqweni. Kutokuphepha sive senkosi ngoba nakulimela imoto yemuntu kulimela impahla yakhe.
Ngekusho kwelitiko letincola letetfala sive kusukela ngenyanga yaBhimbidvwane kulomnyaka kuya ngenyanga yenhlaba tingoti letibe khona tingu-2,274 kanti letingu-105 tihambene imiphefumulo 374 ushiye sive lesahlukene silimele. Letingoti setiholele ekutheni hulumende alahlekelwe imali lelinganiselwa ku-1.6 billion emalangeni asatisebenta. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Nelisiwendla ngamandla nginasmova Shongwe eMbabane.
Sikhwama semhlaba Global Fund sinikete imave emhlaba umsebenzi wekusukumisa tinhlelo tekuncoba sifo samalala, sifo sesifuba sengati kanye neligciwane HIV letimbandzakanya tonke tinhlangothi temnotfo. Lokho kuvete umphathi wenhlangothi lelibuka umsebenzi welisito lwetimali lolichamuka ka-Global Fund, i-Country Coordinating Mechanism, Dr. Advocate Dlamini, ngesikhathi lelihovisi libambe umhlangano sikolwa lihlangene netinhlangothi letahlukene.
Ngemsombuluko lihhovisi lelibuka elisito letimali lichamuka ka-Global Fund, i-Country Coordinating Mechanism, CCM, lihlangene netinhlangothi letahlukene nelibandla lelichamuka ka-Global Fund kutihlomisa ngekusebenta kwakhe CCM. Lobukele lihhovisi laka-CCM kuleli Dr. Advocate Dlamini uthi letinhlangothi tinenzima lokumele tidlale kulwa netifo letifaka ekhatsi sifo i-AIDS, sifo samalala kanye nesifo sesifuba sengati.
Global Fund sishukumiso ukuthi endzabeni yekulwa ne-HIV ne-TB wonke umuntu akasonzele, wonke umuntu akakhulunyiswe, wonke umuntu akabe nechaza lahlalayo. So sentelewe ukuthi naye simuve ngokuthi yena lengabuyela kakhona indlela yephile ngasita ukuthi silwe ne-HIV ngetinhlelo letisimeme nalechubekayo.
Qephesha wetempilo kwa-Global Fund John Berg uthi ngalomhlangano letinhlangothi titawukhona kubambisa live ekuncobeni letifo.
To strengthen the health systems in Eswatini. So a body that is very effective, because these members here today are the members who are going to oversee the utilization of those resources, and they are new, some of them are new members. So it's very critical that at least in this meeting we give them the tools, the knowledge, the know-how to be able to deliver on their mandate, which is to ensure that the resources that target to eliminate TB, eliminate malaria and end AIDS, HIV, are well utilized. So our main objective here is to have a team that is very effective.
Lo mhlangano uhambisana ngco netivumelwano letimbili atibophelela kuto Global Fund letibuke kwesekela emave emhlaba ukuthi ancobe letifo lokuyi-Paris Declaration on Aid Effectiveness ne-Accra Agenda of Action wemnyaka wa 2008. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Samkeliswe Khoza ngakuyani Msibi kuMatsapha.
Uhlangothi lolubuke kulwa nesifo samaleleveva selufuthe etakhiwe nemiti lengetulu kwetinkhulungwane letintsatfu ngemuthi wekuvikela timbuzulwane. Umphathi walohlangothi Quinton Dlamini uthi bahlele kufutha takhiwe letingetulu kwetinkhulungwane letingemashumi kungakefiki inyanga yendlovana eminyakeni lotako.
Nje mhlambe ngalambo siprofane sesicalile siyafutha bohlane siyafutha sesicela bomkhuzo lesifile nakhona sesicalile siyafutha ngicabanga ukuthi lifikile lethu lesibili lesitaqalile lesiqala manje ke sesinginga of fuel otherwise nje siyachubeka sesikhoneni kumakha close to 3000 structures mhlambe timbi zifuthi lenyalo sibheke ukuthi mhlambe stafika la bo 48,000 lesakhona bese lesikhathi lesiqala soMfebruary nasicetha lokufutha kuyathembisa kona but ke sifuna i-support from civil ngoba phela asikwadi kuphumelela ngaphandle kwe-support yesivil kwanyalo sisephasi but ke kasade ngwema cases ethu abekhona ngalo April na May phela ekutheni mhlambe sihafule lama cases lawo kulomnyaka lona ngoba nangabe sihafule lama cases lawo lokho ngona akha ama cases ethu lemali kakhulu kulomnyaka ophelile nangabe siyincobe lapho kulabantu bepresident simhlambe bethe emsebenzi lena ngicabanga ukuthi tawuthembisa kulomnyaka lona angeke kufane umnyaka lophelile.
Kutemidlalo lokhulumela inhlangano lengamele umdlalo we-rugby lapha eveni Phumlani Gumeze uthi bayinhlangano bafundisa abaqeqeshi balomdlalo indlela yekudlala ngendlela ledlalwa abadlali labasikhombisa leyatiwa ngilema 7 njengoba ngiyo indlela babone ukuthi italisebentela live. Gumeze abekhulumana kucubeka umhlangano sikolo wabaqeqeshi balomdlalo kalobamba.
Inhlangano lengamele umdlalo werugby lapha eveni Eswatini Rugby Union yaveta ukuthi ifisa ukudlala kakhulu imidlalo ebadlali abasikhombisa ama-7s kunaleyo lejwayelekile ledlalwa abadlali aba-15 ema-15s njengoba indlela lababona ukuthi ivuma abadlali balapha eveni. Kulempela songo lenhlangano bebamba umfundisi esikolo wabaqeqeshi labafundiswa ngayo lendlela yama-7s.
Ngoba labantwana kufuna sibafundzise info lekungiyo yona, info lekufanele bayifole basesebancane bakhule nayo kuze bakhone ukudlala nasezingeni lisetulu.
Lokhulumele bona abaqeqeshi labangenelela umfundo esikolo nguNaomi Dupont.
The coaching day yasifundisa ukuthi kudlalwa njani. But today akusiko ukuthi sifuna ukufundisa laba labadzala sidinga le marubantwana ne-youth ukuthi in order for us to prepare sidinga ukuthi sifunze nathi bo-coach ukuthi sitobalungisa kahle. So by 2026 tobe nale squad leto khona kudlala.
Kanzi lo mfundo esikolo wabo sesigabeni sekuqala lokuyi-level 1 kanzi labekafundisa nguSteve locecesha likhethelo lesive lalomdlalo kuwe ama-7s. Lobikele umsakathi Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini lalobamba.
29 minutes after 6 tephethe lapho indzaba tetfu hlala nasi siyabuya khona manje.
What do you think the best part of traveling is? Is it the food, or is it the conversation, or is it the sights and sound? If you're ready to explore, we are ready to show you the best way how. We'll give you access to the best luxury getaway sites in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and of course show you vacation sites that suit your budget, because you do not need a lot of money to actually have a great time. Join us on the next adventure on Buhlebethu, only on Eswatini TV.
Kwalomuhla siphinze sikwamukele eluhlelweni lesikhathanyalo ke sitawuxhumana nemxhumanisi wase SOS Children's Village Temalangeni Dlamini kokhulumisa nje amalungelo ebantwana ukukhuliswa kwebantwana nokuthi ngitiphi inhlelo labanato ukuqinisekisa ukukhula kwemfana in a protected environment nekuqinisekisa ukuthi bakhula babantwana labantu labaqotho kusasa ticwaningo ke tiyaveta ukuthi 1 in 10 children nebantu labancane ba separated from imindeni yabo. They are abandoned and neglected. So ke effects alogo, they often last a lifetime, create a harmful cycle lebese iyatiphinza esitukulwaneni ke kuya kulesinye isitukulwane. Children and young people need someone who is there for them. Lotawubalalela aphinze abasupporte no matter what. Base SOS Children's Village so loko ke bawa provider lawo ma services lawa sichumane na Temalangeni Dlamini lomhla ekseni Nkosi asikuvusele sikwamukele eluhlelweni sikuvusela nje emalangeni lasiphohlongo lendlulile inhlangano yakamhlaba itsite ke sibuke bantu labancane emhlabeni wonke jikelele ekuthenini malungelo abo asese anakiwe invele nabo banakiwe invele bantu labancane engabe nisabuka nje lolo suku lolo nithini nje niba se SOS Children's Village njengoba siyanathi ukuthi nisibukele kakhulu vele bantwana labancane.
Angivusele kuwo eMaswati ngivusele kakhulu kulabo lababukele wona lona ke lohlelo la Kusile breakfast show ibito lami ngiwethe emalangeni wakadlamini ngisebenzela yona ke inhlangano yaka SOS Children's Villages njengemxhumanisi wayo xumanisa sive ke nenhlangano kanye ke nebantu bakangwane sijabula kakhulu ke siyinhlangano yaka SOS Children's Villages ukuthi umsebenzi lesiwendako walokunakekela abantwana uphinde ujoyinwe eMaswati ngalelanga lalo 20 November lesithi Children's Day lapho khona sikhulumisa tindzaba ukuthi emalungelo ebantwana akanakekeleke bantwana abachubeke bavikeleke ikakhulukazi ngalesikhathi lesiphila kiso lapho ngathi sekubhebheteka kakhulu khona kuhlukubetheka kwebantwana nemalungelo abo la sibona khona abantwana babulawa ngaphandle kwemvumo yabo lapho khona abantwana abanyathelwa emalungelo bahluphedwa ngisho nabadali babo so sikhuthatha kakhulu nje eziveni seMaswati namhlaba wonke ukuthi impela emalungelo ebantwana akaqhubeke anakekeleke eMaswati.
Nkosi sithola indzaba lenkulu la ekuthenini umntwana usamkhulisa kuyaye nje kube nalensaya ukuthi kufuna umuntu akunakisise ukuthi ingcenye lomntwana lengimkhulisako akasiye wami kuta nema effects ako lokho nekwekuthi ke nema responsibilities ako akufani lana ngesikhathi ungitemalangeni utawukhulisa wakho umntwana siyathi ke lo ukuthi ninako lo ukuthi niba capacitate labo labatawukhulisa labo bantwana engabe kusicathatela nje ukuthi engabe etinfeni letifana naleto sabuka yona iWorld Children's Day inhlala kahle yemfana asakhuliswa ngumuntu maybe longasiye umtali wakhe siyabona lo ukuthi lokukhulu kakhulu lapho lokhanjiswa impilo inhlangano yakamhlaba ukuthi umfana akabe environment la khona akhuliseka. Yes, SOS uyangena lapho. Kukhona ke lama instances whereby lo mfana akasakhuliswa ke ngumtali wakhe. Niba capacitate kanjani labo ekuthenini basakhulisa labantwana babakhulise ngendlela yokuthi lo mfana kungabe sekuba nangasebenzisa igama lesingisi kuba clearing ekuthenini no akusiyo umtali wami lona and ungiphatha ngendlela vele lekhombisa ukuthi akasiyo umtali wami.
Uqinisile kakhulu mnguni konke lokushoko impela inhlangano yaka SOS abatali labanakekela abantwana noma kungasibo ke abantwana babo sithi singeMaswati asinakekelane sonke ngoba abantwana beMaswati ngebantwana bethu ngalena ndlela ke sinhlangano yaka SOS launche i-National Foster Care Program sibambisene neqola ka-DPM lapho khona vele sifuna nababatali labatawuhlala nebantwana labangabatali siconza kahle ke ukuthi eMaswati bekavele akwenda lokho futhi bekavele ahlala nabo bantwana labanye othola ukuthi abakahlobani nabo ngengane kwase uthi ke DPM's office ngaphansi kwabo sonhlala kahle ababitwe labatali laba batrainelwe ekuthenini batoqeqeshwa phela ukuthi basehletini bantwana bahlala nabo kanjani ke labantwana lapho kwendele ukuthi emalungelo abo anakekeleke kahle futhi nabo babonakale bangilabanye bantwana ngoba laba bantu abendlunkulu indlu seyithemba labo batali ukuthi babanakekele. Umbuto wakho ke mngoni uthi uma ngabe ke labantwana laba basehletile emakhaya sibaqeqesha kanjani ke labatali liphina DPM's office, ihhovisi laka DPM ibambisene ke nenhlangano yaka SOS inetincwadi letiningi ifakene ekhathi nayo nje i-workbook. Le workbook lena i-training workbook yema-foster parents. Akukavaleleki-ke kuphela kuma-foster parents nalabanye batali. Iqukethe la ngekhathi kwayo imithetho ye-leave ukuthi uma ngabe uhlala nebantwana kune-Children's Protection and Welfare Act ukuthi nawe ungumtali sikucijise ngale mithetho ye-leave uzokwazi ukuthi naku lokubhekekile kumntwana ngokuthi akwendele kuyi-responsibility. Naku lokubhekekile kumtali ukuthi akwendele kuyi-responsibility. Nanka emalungelo emntwana lekufuna umtali awazi. Nanka emalungelo emntwana lekufuna naye awazi futhi angawendluli. Lokusho ukuthi le ncwadi lena ifundisa umtali ngemntwana iphinde isite ukuthi umtali athi ngekwekuthi yena umntwana umphatha kanjani.
Nkosi ngiyatibuta nje njengoba livela kangwane libanti kangaka kokucala nje kungaba kushayela tandla indzaba ukuthi nibambisene nalo lehhovisi leliphini landvunankulu ngiyabona ukuthi nanisebenta nahulumende lolisito olisheshe lifike nalena emaphandleni lekukhashane khona livela kangwane likhulu kakhulu ngiyatibuta ke na usaphatha lama workbook imithetho leminengi lena lecukethwe ngulama programs ngileti inhlelo leninato ukuthi sengabe umtali angeke inso bese sowuphelelwa inshisekelo asabuka letiluba noma leto tinkhambiso leniti gijimsako nisakhokha lolo sito nilumikisa khona emakhaya.
Ngikona kusho ukuthi impela indzaba yemsebenzi wokuhlala nemntwana yemuntu lothanda umntwana ngoba umntwana uyinto lemcoka and sathi sonke ukuthi ulukusasa lethu sithi nje umntwana ungumlibalo ya endlini. Umuntu lokhulisa umntwana umuntu lonelithando lebantwana. Futhi ke thina lo msebenzi lesiwendako sithi noma ngabe lelithando belilincane sikwengetela lo lithando ukuthi wathi ukuthi bowuhamba kahle kepha nangabe kukhona lobo ungakwendi kahle bese kusita ukuthi ukwende. Ikakhulukazi Mnguni ngoba sikhuluma indzaba lethi ngimithetho yelive lesho ukuthi uma ngabe umuntu anyathela lo mthetho welive uyajeziswa ngandlela thize ngokomthetho. Manje kubese sekuba indlela lenhle ke uma ngabe kunenhlangano lebambisene nalo ke leliphini landvunankulu ukuthi phela sisite umtali ukuthi hamba ngana indlela naye ungatoti ikhanza ngakusasa sowubanjwa ngumthetho kanti wonke indlela. Akukavami Mnguni ukuthi umtali angabese sowuphelelwa inshisekelo ngalesi sizathu lesithi phela naye umtali lokuhlala nemntwana abevela kwenta ngokuthanda. Thina sesimengetela phakathi lokuthi bangahlalisana njani kahle bangahlalisana njani ngendlela letawuthokozisa umntwana nendlela letawuthokozisa umtali. Thina nje siyinhlangano yaka SOS ekugcineni kwako konke sithi kude umntwana lekufuna ukuthi akhule yedwana akhulise kwesagile eshathini kepha kufuna ukuthi akhulele ekhaya lithokomele. Lithokomala kanjani ke likhaya kusehlezi umntwana nemntali. Abantu abaningi bayaye bacabanga ukuthi emalungelo ebantwana ngathi sekayagabadzela ngathi sekeniketa abantwana onke emalungelo ukuthi bangenda noma ngayini. Uthola ukuthi ngathi sesihleli phasi nemntali sesizama lokumchazela ngale mithetho uyayabona naye ukuthi le mithetho iyawabhala ngisho nema-responsibilities. Lokho ke lokubhekekile kumntwana ukuthi akwenze lokho futhi lokubhekekile ukuthi umntali akwenze. Lokhanza ukuthi emaswati lamaningi angete akwadi nje afihlalele ekhaya noma angete akwadi angikalandzeli le mithetho yelive siveta nje kukhanya emaswatini ngale information.
Nkosi ngiyabonga lokho ukuthi uthinza luhlangothile bese ngifuna kungena kulungana ngombuto wami lolandzelako. Indzaba yokuthi yebo siyavumelana ukuthi kunemithetho leniyishucisako kuleti inhlelo tenu neliphini landvunankulu nisakhulumisa bona labo labasibukele bantfa bethu. Indzaba lenkulu ke ithi basanaka bona labantwana nabo labantwana akukameli bese bashiwa in isolation nanabo kufuna babanjwe ngetandla kuleti imfundiso tenu ekuthenini engabe nisabuka ke lokusebenta lokho bantwana ngoba liqiniso lithi bayasho nalababuka tingqondo nalababuka isociety ukuthi kugucuka nje kwempilo kulesikhathi sanyalo sekulukhuni ukukhulisa umntwana tizathu ke tinengi kakhulu from music lo sakhona lo mainstream i-lifestyle lesakhona nyalo kukhulisa umfana nje sekulukhuni. Engabe titsini ke tinhlelo tenu unyalo letithi nyalo ke sicondzele nemfana ngco ekuthenini umtali sisamcapacitate ukuthi amfundzise lo mfana nalo mfana angabi lukhuni.
Uqinisile kulesikhathi esiphila kiso Mnguni sekumadima kakhulu ukukhulisa umntwana. Lelo liqiniso lesingede salibalekele. Kepha nje angibuyele emuva kancane ekuchazeni na inhlangano yaka-SOS. Inhlangano yaka-SOS ime ngemaphila lamathathu lesithi yi-prevention, i-protection ne-advocacy. I-prevention kungiletha inhlelo tethu tekuvikela lokuthi umntwana atikhanzi a-neglected noma alahliwe edebatali. Kunetinhlelo ke lesitendako tekuqinisa le mindeni ukuthi lo mntwana atikhanzi ngokuthi uhleli ekhaya. La kufaka khona ke lokuba nawo lama programs afana foster care. Bese sekuba nale protection. I-protection Mnguni kulesikhathi sithi ke sesifuna ukuvikela lamalungelo ebantwana. Lapho kungena ke letinhlelo letifaka ekhathi i-child protection nabo child safeguarding. Leti tinhlelo ke inhlangano yaka-SOS leti sebenzela kakhulu ekuthenini sifundisa abantwana ngekusafeguarda noma ukugcina amalungelo abo. Nekwenta lokho lokubhekekile lesithi ngema-responsibilities abo. Bayahlaliswa phasi labantwana laba bafundiswe kabanzi. Angicale ngokuthi-ke inhlangano yaka-SOS isebenza nemimango ledane nayo. Siyinhlangano sinema-village lamathathu eMbabane, eSteki nasenhlangano. Sisebenza kaze ngibekise nasenhlangano. Sinanaba bombilaneni imiphakathi ledudane. Sisebenza nale miphakathi ke ledudane lelapha bomzizi le miphakathi ledudane siyihlanganise sihlanganise nalabantwana bakhona. Sibese sesiyabakhulumisa ke siphinde sikhulumise nalabatali ngetindzaba te-child protection. Lotawuthi ke wena bayaxoxelwa yini labantwana noma bayakhulunyiswa yini bona ngala dabo ema-responsibility lababhekeke ukuthi bawena. Bayakhulunyiswa kakhulu abantwana beMaswati ngaloko lokubhekekile kibo. Phela simaSwati sibantu labakhuliswe ngenhlonipho, sibantu lababhekeke ukuthi simathi umuntu nomdzala nesigaba sakhe. Sikwati imihambo yemiphakathi, sikwati emasiko eMaswati. Lokhu kunlokunye lesifundisa abantwana kona sisabahlalise phasi sibafundisa ngemalungelo abo. Umuntu utawuthi ingabe la malungelo yini kahle kahle lesikhuluma ngakho. Sikhuluma ngala malungelo lafaka isikhathi ukuthi umntwana akakwati ukuthi mela, akwati ukuthi cha uma ngabe umuntu amhlukubele. Akwati futhi ukuthi vela kokuthi nyalo ke sengiyahlukubedeka ngekwengqondo emotional. Ukuthi uyathi nyalo le info lesetikhulunywa la khathi khulunywa nami athi sangiphathi kahle. Angifole umuntu lengakhuluma naye. Ngileti info leti kulamalanga ngoba ukhulumile nje kulamalanga kunengilo lokukhipha abantu labasha. Abantu labasha kuna bathi ukuthi nase ngihlushwa ngileti info leti ngikhuluma nabantu. So ngileti zelela kodwa bafundiswa lokuhlonipha babe bathi nemalungelo abo.
Evala Nkosi, siyatfola ke ukuthi niphinze nitimisele ekuthenini ni co-opte imedia ekuthenini lama programs enu afike kulabantwana. Sesivumelene nawe ukuthi live la ngwane libandi kangakanani, yebo ma children's village lamathathu, kodwa anifuni kumshiya nanangiya umfana lo lapha eHereford nanangiya lo lapha eHokwini engcenyena longekho evillage ekuthenini nisafundzisa nakuye atifike letimfundiso tenu. Ngivile nje ukuthi ninaye umdlalo lobitwa ngekuthi yinkunzi malwane. Engabe ungasichazela kabanti lokho ukuthi uhloseni lo mdlalo uyini vele?
Ngiyabonga Mnguni ukuthi nza yona leyo ngijabulela kakhulu. Kusho ukuthi Maswati lamahle inhlangano yaka-SOS Children's Villages isukumise ke umdlalo wemoya esithi yi-radio drama series lobitwa ngokuthi yinkunzi malwane. Inkunzi malwane ke mbukeli ekhaya umdlalo wemoya lo sita kuqeqesha kabanti eMaswati ngidawuthi batali nebantwana ngaloko lokubhekekile kibo ngekwemthetho uma basahlala kanye emakhaya. Kusho ukuthi nje mbukeli uma ngabe sikhuluma ngalo mdlalo wemoya lo sithi wonke umuntu akaqeqesheke ngemithetho yelive. Athi ukuthi uma asehleti nemntwana ubhekeni uhulumende kuye loyo muntu loyo. Ngibekise nje mbukeli ukuthi Kuyendeka umntwana ukhanzeke ukuthi ufika ekhaya la kahlala khona, kepha angikahlobani nalabo bemndeni ngengadi. Nivumelene phasi esihlahla naleso sihlobo sakhe. Futhi-ke uhulumende akukho emthethweni futhi akakuthathi kokuthi ningavumelana ngempilo yemntwana phasi esihlahla ngoba kuleli khaya latawuhlala kulo uhulumende asale athi ukuthi wo lo mntwana lona ngumntwana wendlunkulu. Ake kwati kumupha letinsita letifake ekhathi i-education, akhone futhi kumniketa nema-access to services. Ngoba uma ngabe uhulumende angamati lo mntwana lo utawukhanza so uyahlupheka. Kulufuni nekuthi abe namatisa i-certificate ngokuthi vele lala bahleli naye lakhaya abakahlobani naye. Kodwa uma ngabe kulandzeleleka lo mthetho kutawuba naso nhlalakahle loqhamuka kulo liphini landvulankulu lotawukhona kulandzelela lo mntwana ekhaya akhone nekulandzelela kunakekeleka kwakhe.
Angabe nifisa ukufinyelele igaba lo mdlalo njengoba sesivede usilive elikhulu kakhulu lela?
Lo mdlalo wemoya lona sifisile lokuthi kwangathi ungafinyelela kuwo onke emakhaya kuto tonke tifundza-ke netigodi talo live lakangwane ngoba uconze kakhulu vele kucijisa eMaswati ngelwati. Bonke batali, kungaba ngumtali lohlala nemntwana la angahlobani naye ngengadi, kungaba ngumtali lohlala nebantwana besihlobo sakhe, kungaba ngumtali lohlala newakhe umntwana. So sithi nje eMaswati lamahle wonke umuntu akawulalele lo mdlalo ngoba kuningi leli esifundzako kuwo lo mdlalo, ikakhulukazi ngetindzaba tabo gender kulamalanga kuningi vele lokuthethisaka. Kubitwa kwebantwana ngemagama la angavami noma ke la angalungi ngoba ngekomthetho umntwana kufanele aphiwe ligama lelilungile lelingeke lize limhlambalale. Manje uma ngabe sekutholakala ukuthi ekhaya umntwana ubitwa ngeligama lelisizi sakhe lapho sekuphuleka umthetho, into letilula kanjalo nje lesingathi sithi lo mdlalo uconze ukuthi ufundise kakhulu ngayo.
Cha, kuyevakala Nkosi sekutibuta nje ukuthi engabe lo mdlalo udlala nini vele ngoba ngiyambona umbukeli lapha ekhaya so vele unayo intshisekelo ukuthi awulandzele lo mdlalo uthinza donati indzabade ukuthi ngathini ibambisene kakhulu kuhambisa imisebenzi noma imithetho yahulumende ekakhulu lengephansi kweliphini lihhovisi leliphini landvunankulu.
Umlaleli angawuthamela lo mdlalo lona estation se-EBIS noma ke kulo umsakazo weliphimbo lesivo Eswatini i-EBIS 1 ngemgcibelo ekuseni ngesikhathi lesithi 7:45 futhi nje ngankora to 8 ungawuthola ke umdlalo lona uthamele kulo liphimbo lesivo Eswatini. Ungaphinde futhi uwethamele ke ku Voice of the Church i-VOC ngawo umgcibelo ngensimbi yesithathu ke ntambama lokusho ukuthi 3 PM ntambama lapho khona ungawuthola usakadwa khona. Kanti futhi ke siyinhlangano yaka SOS siphinde siwufake kuwo nema-pages ethu aka-social media ku-Facebook nalamanye ke ama-pages la ungasithola khona SOS Children's Villages Eswatini.
Kukhona lekumele sikhathateke ngako noma kusikhathate sibatali noma sibanvana leni kubonile singasho ukuthi maybe sekuba yi-surge. I'm trying to speak on some of the negative issues that have maybe compelled you or propelled you ekuthenini nisukumise nalo luhlelo nalo siyathiluka ukuthi kukhulisa umntwana kusikolula vele akuzange sekube lula eke uhlale kunema-challenges kodwa nasekusukumata inhlelo thide kuvame ukuthi khwale sekubonakele manje kungathi sekubalinyeva kakhulu emalangeni.
Nguni le nhlangano yaka SOS isasukumisa lona-ke lolu hlelo lwe-National Foster Care Program ibambisene na-DPM's office. Kwendiwa licwaningo kwahanjwa emakhaya ikakhulukazi lalibonjeni la kwakubukwa khona inhlalakahle yebantwana emakhaya. Kwatholakala-ke ukuthi kuningi lokunyathelana kwemalungelo ngoba ukhanza kokuthi sithi bantwana abeva abalaleli siphinde bese sesikwakbatali sebathinta kakhulu sandla kubantwana ukhanza sebanyathelana la malungelo abo. Lokunye sathola ukuthi lo mthetho awulandzeleki ikakhulukazi ngaleti ndaba ukuthi abantu vele bavumelana phasi esihlahla ngekuhlala kwebantwana emakhaya. Lokwenta kokuthi ukhanza kubantwana abasanakekeleki kahle ngoba naloyo logcine lo mntwana la ekhaya utawuba ukuthi abamletha bamlahlile bakubo. Sewutendela ke noma engayini kulo mntwana lokhanza ukuthi size sibita lo mdlalo njengenkunzi malwane ngaloko ukuthi kuthiwa lo mntwana lona sala qhala-ke tonke tonode bakibo kokuthi utelana nje abamnaki ngani. Utawuphuma ebusuku athunywe, utawuthi noma elijumaluthulu kuthunywe yena, noma ngathi into leti sinzako kuthiwe yena akakende, ulima ensimu utawenda yedwana labala khase bayahlala abantwana sebenda yena-ke songule nkunzi malwane. Sesibuka kokuthi-ke kuningi-ke lokhu lesekumaphinze lekwenteka cishe imindeni leminingi ukuthi labantwana laba labaswele labete bani noma-ke labete limuva kahle. Bahleli-ke kulamakhaya labathi bayabasita kiwo kodwa sebahlukuzeteka kakhudlwana. Sase sesithi-ke siyinhlangano asichamuke nalo mdlalo lo lotawusita-ke lokuthi akulungiseke eMaswati lamahle lokhu phinde neMaswati alandzele imithetho yahulumende phela imithetho yelive yokuhlalisana.
Isikhathi sakho Temalangeni sethembeka ukuthi ingalo yemithetho kuna imithetho losoyibalile itawufinyelela kulabo-ke labo batawube sebanyathele emalungelo ebantfana. Sethembeka ukuthi nabo bantfana basakhuliswa batawuba ngulabo laba bantfana empeleni balalele loko labakhuliswa ngako. Bonkosi yasibahlole emakethe sifike emaphethelweni-ke enkulumiswano yethu na Temalangeni ehlangothini lokubuka kukhuliswa kwemntfana. Sitawubuya sichubeka nehlelo.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo eveni. Kulapho kukhuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yebantfu. Siphindze sibuke tindlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphatamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Ngokusele nje imizuzu lemine kubumbane insimbi yesikhombisa lomhla ekseni kwesikhathi sanyalo sitawuthi nje kuxwayisa labo labatawuchuba imotolo nalabo labatawuhamba eceleni kwemigwaco. Naye-ke Constable Ntombenhle faka ukuthi Mntola sikwamukele ehlelweni ngabe nisasipopolelayo imigwaco lomhla ekseni isimo sime kanjani?
Uvusele Ncumalo ngivusele naye umbukeli weKusile breakfast show. Imigwaco elivela kangwane sesihlolile nanamuhla imigwaco leminengi iyahambeka. Ikhona tona tikhinyabeto kepha-ke akusito letingabadinengi kangako noma-ke letingamenda umshayeli kwekuthi angakhona ukusebenzisa umgwaco. Emadolobheni elivela kangwane sihlolile siba netemgwaco tiyasebenta kuwo onke nemigwaco lengenela kuwo lamadolobha iyahambeka kude lokuthi kinyabeto lo kungakanani. Ekhasi edolobheni eMbabane sitaladi lesingisozisa road lapha eceleni kwaseMbabane Central. Leso sitaladi leso solo umgwaco uyalungiswa khona lapho. Umgwaco lomkhulu losuka khona eNgwenya uye kaManzini kufaka ekhasi naye eMalagwane uhloliwe kude sikhinyabeto lesingasivikela yena umshayeli. Ekhasi edolobheni kumathapha sihlolile nakhona tiba netemgwaco tiyasebenta tonke ngalokufanele. Kanti-ke khona lapho sigasile nakubumbana insimbi yesiphohlongo kusuka lapha kalogoba kubheka khona kumathapha kuboteni kwekuthi isebelite emgwaco sitabe sikhona lapho tidweba wona emalayini. Siyakhuthatha nje labo labasebenzisa lowo mgwaco kwekuthi laba bona khona timphawu lesibaqaphelisako ngetisebenti temgwaco abente isiqiniseko ukuthi balandzela leto tixwayiso lesisuke tibekiwe kuze ukuthi baphephe nabo labo labasebenta khona emgwacweni baphephe. Lomunye umgwaco lesiwuhlolile ngumgwaco losuka khona enyalinyali uye khona kaHlatsi. Usuka lapha enyalinyali uyofika khona ngamehlo abovu. Umgwaco uhamba ugubuliwe ngetigaba lokwenta kwe ukuthi umshayeli nakahamba ngelitubane lelisetulu khona lapho imotolo ingagcina iphuma esandleni sakhe. Siyakhuthaza nje ukuthi la umgwaco ubonakala ugubuliwe khona noma ke na ubona timpawu letisaphelisako ngekwakhiwa komgwaco litubane vele lesise ungaze ukhanze sowuthola ingozi. Ekhathi eshiselweni sihlolile nakhona khona enhlangano na usuka khona lapha ebus rank la ekungeneleni ebus rank kuwo umgwaco lo yakhona eCasino uyawufika khona eCasino umgwaco solo lapho uvaliwe kulandzela kona ukuthi uyalungiswa. Imotolo ke tigadzekile ukuthi tingene khona ekhathi ebus rank noma ke tingene ngakhona ngasesontweni kuze ukuthi ikhone kuhamba ngekukhululeka tiphume enhlangano tibheke khona kubosibuse. Ngale kwaloko Mnguni naye umlaleli imigwaco elivela kaNgwane iyahambeka ngaphandle nje kwaleti lesengishito kungaba kufisela yena umbukeli lusuku loluhle naloluphephile basetha usebenzisa yona imigwaco elivela kaNgwane.
Kakhulu mntolo loyo mbikokelo sipha wona sithembe ukuthi labo labachuba imotolo batawuti icaphela leto titsika so tibalile. Bonkosi yasibahlole emarket sitabuya sibuke tindzaba tesingisi.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Welcome back. Let's take a look at our English news. Prime Minister Russell Dlamini has officially opened a week-long induction conference for legislators. Topics that will be discussed and covered during the conference include the national constitution, Parliament standing orders, and separation of powers. The Premier says legislators should always remember the mandate given to them during Sibaya.
Prime Minister Russell Dlamini says His Majesty and the nation have spoken during Sibaya, and what is left is a delivery on the part of Parliament.
When we understand our roles and perform very well, we will be able to restore people's trust in our system of governance. Restoration of peace and security and tolerance for one another should be at the top of our priorities. The threats to peace and security, the threat to sustainable development that was experienced a few years ago demonstrated the need to change course on our approach to engage.
Different speakers also had this to say.
The objective of this conference is to capacitate us on what is expected of us as we execute our threefold core mandate, which is representation, oversight, and legislation.
Njengoba sikhumbula nje ukuthi indlu ivulwa ngumnikati ingwenyama mase sicala ke sisebenza ukhanze ukuthi lokunengi sesicishe sikuconzile sifundisene sabonisana lapha ukuthi kepha vele i-constitutional mandate yethu ithini sibhekeke ukuthi sendeni nje njengoba sitawuba seParliament
Authentic leadership in our contemporary world cannot compromise on integrity. We are talking about leadership of influence. You know, asisungena nje emsebentini, ungena uphume, singeva tigitako.
I was at the recent Sibaya and followed most of it online as well. And we all know that the citizens spoke and they were very clear in their submissions. They called for increased economic growth and job creation. They called for improved quality of education, health and public services, addressing corruption, and improved public financial management. His Majesty capped it all by declaring poverty a national disaster.
This conference is for members of both houses of parliament. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosima Vimbela with Smuva Shongwe, Lobamba.
Fighting gender-based violence are receiving the highest political backing as Prime Minister Russell Miso Dlamini has publicly declared his support for this cause. Dlamini says Parliament should it can to win this battle. The Premier has said this when opening the 12th Parliament Induction Conference at the Happy Valley Hotel.
Parliament has also a very crucial role in fighting the escalating cases of gender-based violence. Gender-based violence should never be tolerated, which is the reason I also add my voice to condemn this act in the strongest sense. As legislators, we must task ourselves to critically scrutinize and determine if relevant existing laws are still serving us well and legislate accordingly on areas where there are gaps.
The Minister of Labour, Philip Telezi, says HIV and AIDS has greatly impacted on the country's labour force, hence the need for collaborative HIV elimination initiatives.
Each year during the month of November, the world commemorates World AIDS Month. People around the world unite to show support for people living with HIV and to remember those who have died from AIDS-related illnesses through a candle lighting memorial. On Monday, the Minister of Labour, Philip Telezi, joined by staff members, hosted a candlelight memorial at the ministry's offices in Babane, where he encouraged collaborative efforts to eliminate HIV and AIDS.
The Labour is a ministry responsible for wellness ematiko ahulumende. Kube ngumsebenzi lomuhle lesiwuthathela etulu kakhulu ngoba siyathi iminotho iphazamisekile kakhulu nge-HIV and AIDS.
The minister says with the 95-95-95 target achieved by the kingdom, there's still much more to be done by every employee and every Eswati to eliminate AIDS in Eswatini, whereas the focus for this year's theme is communities taking the lead towards ending AIDS, whereby the world can end AIDS with communities leading the way. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Zimova Shongwe, Babane.
The Ministry of Tinkhundla and Development has met with the Lubombo Region Constituency Council members for an induction which aims to educate officials about their roles and responsibilities.
The Ministry for Tinkhundla has met with elected officials for an induction that will enable elected officials to understand the mandate and share common understanding of their roles and responsibilities. The Minister for Tinkhundla, Skhumbuzo Dlamini, echoed the words of His Majesty III to ensure that no one is left behind in their common quest to develop all parts of the country.
Asambeni emimangweni siyawufaka umoya wewakha lelive singafaki umoya wekubhidlita na ubhidlita lamuhla uthi lo muntu ngabe ungathiwa sekwakho kusasa ke ufuna uqala phansi ufuna kwendani kahle kahle.
Lubombo Regional Administrator Themba Msibi emphasized the importance of communication amongst the constituency and its people.
Mkhulu umsebenzi onikwe yona lenikwe live wona umsebenzi omkhulu ekuthuthukisa lelive umsebenzi omkhulu wokwenta ukuthi le live libe nekuthula.
The Ministry for Tinkundla says they remain committed to engaging with all ministries responsible for service delivery to strengthening their coordination mechanism for efficiency. Reporting, I am Tembelihle Makuchwa Simunye.
Viewers are advised that the following report contains visuals of live snakes. Services were slightly interrupted at the Ministry of Home Affairs on Monday morning following a snake invasion in one of the offices within the ministry. Employees quickly rushed out of the office and snake catchers were called, who responded promptly and rescued the snake. Delishka Cohen, the Eswatini Anti-Venom Foundation's founder, says the snake was identified as a boomslang, also known as indlondlo in vernacular, which seldom bites and never aggressive, but is highly venomous when it bites, especially when provoked or attacked. She asks everyone to be safe and to refrain from beating snakes, but call snake rescuers. The Eswatini Trade Awards make a return this year. The Manager of External Trade in the Eswatini Investment Promotion Authority, Bongani Njangasi, says companies can join the awards and nominate others, as this is a way of rewarding and recognizing outstanding external traders.
Basically means companies that are producing locally and exporting outside Eswatini, in particular to areas where we have trade agreements. We will be looking at companies that are exporting under AGOA and also looking at companies that are exporting under the SADC EU EPA, and also companies that are exporting to Asian markets or even consider SACO or Africa as a whole. These are the different categories in which companies can nominate, self-nomination, or so they can be nominated by someone else. So we are inviting companies so that they can come forward and we afford them the recognition that they deserve with these awards. These awards are meant to help these companies in terms of their bidding when they are going out there to compete in global markets. When they indicate that these are top performers in terms of exports, you find that they are easily accepted and their client base easily recognizes them and appreciate who they are. We are inviting them to come forward and get the nomination forms from our website, www.investeswatini.com.
3 people, including 2 children, were involved in an accident at Mvagweliche in Babane after the car they were in was hit by a truck abandoned by its driver after it lost brakes at around 7 a.m. in the morning on Monday. The police say the passengers were treated and discharged at Mbabane Government Hospital, and the driver is still admitted, as the police have said they are still conducting investigations.
Witness Sandile Malinga says he saw the truck moving at a high speed with its doors open, and it was evident that the truck driver and its occupants had abandoned it. He says he immediately saw the truck hitting other cars. An obviously dejected Petros Mabuza, whose car was involved in the accident, says he was going to work. He further says his car was badly damaged and he does not think it can be fixed. The police have given a stern warning against driving cars that are not roadworthy, especially this festive. Assistant Inspector Tulani Magagula, who was attending the accident, says the police will be vigilant to ensure eMaswati are safe during this festive season.
Abathi phela nabasuka emakhaya timoto batibuka ukuthi tisezingeni lelingilo yini tifanele ukuthi tingaba semgwaqweni kutophepha sive senkosi ngoba nakulimela imoto yemuntu kulimela impahla yakhe.
Earlier this year, the Ministry of Public Works and Transport reported that from January until June, there were 2,274 accidents in the country, of which in 105 people lost their lives. 374 accidents left people injured. The ministry has further reported that government has lost about 1.6 billion emalangeni due to road accidents. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Smuva Shongwe, Mbabane.
Global Fund has given country coordinating mechanisms a mandate to eliminate tuberculosis, malaria and HIV and AIDS through cross-sectoral programs. This was said by CCM Eswatini's Executive Secretary Dr. Advocate Dlamini during a capacity building workshop for CCM members.
Coordinating mechanism on Monday in partnership with the Global Fund hosted this year's Eswatini CCM membership onboarding, orientation and capacity building workshop. CCM Eswatini's Executive Secretary Dr. Advocate Dlamini gave a highlight on the importance of the meeting.
We've got government, which has got about 38% seat in CCM. We've got the civil society, we've got all the different types, including academia, faith-based organizations, and people affected by the disease, including malaria constituency, who are all here today. So today, what we're going to do, we have a support by Global Fund. We have a consultant all the way from Kenya who is with us for this induction workshop, where they are teaching us and refreshing our minds about what is CCM, what is the function of CCM, and if we have a good CCM, exactly what do you mean and what is supposed to do.
Global Fund Public Health Specialist John Begu said, with this workshop, the kingdom can collaboratively eliminate HIV, TB and malaria.
To strengthen the health systems in Eswatini. So a body that is very effective, because these members here today are the members who are going to oversee the utilization of those resources. And they are new, some of them are new members. So it's very critical that at least in this meeting, we give them the tools, the knowledge, the know-how to be able to deliver on their mandate, which is to ensure that the resources that target to eliminate TB, eliminate malaria, and end AIDS, HIV, are well utilized. So our main objective here is to have a team that is very effective.
On another note, the workshop is in accordance with the 2005 Paris Declaration on Aid Effectiveness and the 2008 Accra Agenda for Action. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I am Samkal Siwekoza with Giani Msibi, Matapa.
The National Malaria Control Program has sprayed over 3,000 structures under the ongoing annual residual spraying program. The program manager at NMCP, Quintin Dlamini, says the target is to spray over 40,000 structures by February next year.
So far, we have covered about 3,000 structures, and the areas that we are covering, that we have covered so far, is areas around Skufani area. That's where we get most cases, Hlane area, and then Kusile area. But we're also moving to the other areas where we had a lot of cases last year. You know, our case burden was very high in the months of April and May last year. So we're looking at half of those cases, and then we were pretty sure that once we conquer that burden around the period, we are sure that, you know, there will be some kind of impact this year as opposed to last year. We are looking forward to a successive year this current season, of course. Of course, again, we are relying, you know, squarely on the support from the public to give us, you know, that kind of support so that, you know, we can be able to cover enough structures. All we're targeting is to spray 100% of the structures that in those localities where we are spraying, because more often than not, you find that where there is a case, it is either a person who was not there, the house was locked, or the person just refused. So that's why I was saying we are banking so much on the support from the communities to have all the houses sprayed.
In an effort to address some of the grievances by the nation during Sibaya, especially on the education sector, the Eswatini Higher Education Council and the Eswatini Educational Research Association will host the educational conference next month. Speaking during the launch, Ishek Acting Chief Executive Officer Mangaliso Sifunza says part of the objectives of the conference is to align programs offered in tertiary institutions with skills needed in the job industry.
We understand as an institution that research plays a very pivotal role in terms of economy stimulation. We believe that the findings that researchers have can actually stimulate the economy
A member of the Eswatini Educational Research Association details some of the topics where participants are expected to conduct research on.
We have got themes such as life orientation and empowerment. There's also an entrepreneurship and ICT sub-theme. There's also themes like teaching and learning, professional ethics, and also themes to do with human rights and development.
The two organizations have said all contributions made during the conference will play a major role in enhancing and improving the education sector. For Eswatini TV News, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa, Mbabane.
For international news, Israel and Hamas appeared open to extending a ceasefire in Gaza that has halted their deadliest and most destructive war, but is set to expire after Monday, with a fourth exchange of militant-held hostages for Palestinians imprisoned by Israel planned for later in the day.
Scenes of joy amid the ongoing torment of war. As Hamas releases Israeli hostages kidnapped during the October 7th massacre, Palestinians are celebrating the release of their own from Israeli prisons. Under the terms of an agreement brokered by Qatar, the U.S., and Egypt, the pause could be extended by 1 day for every additional 10 Israeli hostages who are released by Hamas. The militant group which governs Gaza has said it's open to an extension, something also welcomed by the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who at the same time vowed the eradication of Hamas would continue.
I want to say there is an outline that says Hamas can release 10 more hostages for every additional day. It is a blessed thing. But in the same breath, I also told President Biden that at the end of the outline, we will return with all our strength to realize our goals. The elimination of Hamas.
This is the longest break in fighting since the October 7th attack by Hamas, and international aid groups are rushing to take advantage of the pause in violence as the humanitarian crisis inside Gaza remains unprecedented, according to the UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees. During a summit of European and Arab countries in Spain, there was a growing chorus of voices from across the globe calling for a lasting end to the violence.
You cannot have 2.3 million Palestinian hostage and subject them to the destruction and aggression that we've seen unfolding over the past weeks. So yes, we demand that this pause turns into a permanent ceasefire.
The pause should be extended to make it sustainable and long-lasting while working for a political solution.
Despite those calls, Israel is committed to ending Hamas's 16-year rule of Gaza, and human rights groups inside the territory fear Israel's ground invasion will expand to the south, where hundreds of thousands of Palestinians have been crammed into UN shelters.
As Gaza enters the last day of the 4-day ceasefire, people are being confronted with the damage caused by Israel's bombardments. In some areas, entire villages have been reduced to rubble, and civilian casualties have been found in the streets.
Amid the calm of the temporary ceasefire comes the reality of all that's been lost. In Gaza, many people have used the 4-day truce to return home in search of possessions and to survey the damage. What they've found is entire buildings demolished, roads upturned, and personal belongings gone. This man, Ali Mahdi, returned home to Al-Shati refugee camp on the second day of the ceasefire, where he says he found his father and nephew deceased.
Here, with my own hands, me and my little brother dug a grave and buried my father and my little nephew.
In the streets, he found the bodies of his neighbours and acquaintances too, as well as a renewed call for answers.
What is our fault? We are neither Hamas nor Fatah, and we have never held a weapon in our lives. What is our fault for this to happen to us? You are not fighting Hamas, you are fighting the people.
Nearby in Gaza City, footage captures the complete destruction of Gaza's 2 main universities and the neighbourhood surrounding Al-Shifa Hospital. The southern town of Khan Yunis was also hit aggressively. According to the United Nations, around 2/3 of Gaza's population of 2.3 million people are now homeless. 1.7 million people are estimated to be displaced, and more than half of the homes are damaged or destroyed.
Tens of thousands of Russian and Ukrainian troops are digging in for a long and hard winter as temperatures continue to plunge. Powerful storms have knocked out power for thousands of people across the country, reviving memories of last year when Russian forces targeted Ukraine's energy infrastructure.
With the onset of winter, freezing temperatures have settled across Ukraine. Storms have already knocked out power for people living in more than 2,000 towns and villages. The outages have brought back painful memories of last year, when for months Russia focused its firepower on Ukraine's energy infrastructure.
I ask all Ukrainian citizens in the areas affected by the bad weather to be as cautious as possible. Our power engineers will restore electricity to all cities and villages that are currently experiencing temporary power outages due to the weather as soon as possible.
Ukraine has warned that Russia may launch yet another onslaught against its electricity network. On the ground, tens of thousands of troops on both sides are digging in for the winter. Most attempts by the Ukrainian army to break through Russian defences have ground to a halt, and the front lines have barely moved in recent months. Ukraine has been focusing its efforts on gaining a foothold on the eastern bank of the Dnipro River near Kherson, whereas Russia has concentrated its firepower on eastern Ukraine, where intense fighting has been reported in areas surrounding the city of Bakhmut. Over the weekend, Kyiv also accused Moscow of carrying out its biggest drone attack since the full-scale invasion began in early 2022. Russian attacks have also been reported in southern Ukraine, in and around Kherson, where a dozen villages were left without electricity. And on Sunday, Russia said it had shot down Ukrainian drones over Russian territory, whilst also downing 2 missiles over the Azov Sea.
Indian military engineers were preparing to dig by hand Monday to reach 41 workers trapped in a collapsed road tunnel for 16 days, a rescue operation hit by repeated setbacks.
Members of the Indian Army are on standby, ready for the next phase of the rescue of 41 construction workers trapped in a collapsed tunnel in northern India. For the last 2 weeks, rescuers have focused on drilling horizontally through the mountain to reach the workers. This weekend, however, they had to change tack. The drill broke down, blocking the rescue path with debris.
We removed 20 meters of the damaged machine with 25 meters to go. We expect the entire machine will be removed tomorrow morning. After that, we'll start manually removing debris.
Rescue workers will have to use handheld power tools to breach the last 10 to 15 meters of rock that the drill was unable to breach. Despite the long wait for rescue, local authorities have confirmed that the trapped workers are alive and well. This father of a 22-year-old trapped worker said the stress of the incident has spurred major life changes.
I'll never send him back to work in the tunnels. I want him to change his job and stay home. I will ask him to become a farmer or do anything else he wants to do.
The tunnel that collapsed is part of a major highway project to link northern India with China. Authorities have not said what caused the tunnel to collapse, but the region is prone to landslides, earthquakes, and floods.
The French government urged calm on Monday after the killing of a teenage boy at a village dance party earlier this month was followed up with violent demonstrations by the extreme right. 6 people arrested at the weekend faced fast-track court hearings on Monday, including for armed attacks on police.
Monday morning, the calm after the storm. Police and protesters are gone, but many residents in Romans-sur-Isère are still reeling from the death of a teenager last week and the events that followed this weekend. Some agreed to share their thoughts anonymously.
We're shocked that these young people want to do us harm.
It scares me, and I'm scared for my children.
Saturday night, far-right activists marched through the center of town and clashed with police, enraged by the killing of the 16-year-old known only as Thomas, stabbed to death during a dance party in the village of Crépol. Members of the far right have blamed the attack on youths from immigrant backgrounds.
They didn't come to protest. You don't peacefully protest with bats and crowbars. If they came to demonstrate, we would have joined them in protest for what happened in Crépol.
Police detained 24 protesters for questioning, most connected to the extreme right. Farther from the center of town, residents said they were worried about the rising tensions.
It's a bit scary, in spite of everything, because we don't feel safe.
It's sad because at my age, I've never known it like this.
Visiting the village on Monday, the spokesman for the French government paid tribute to Thomas and condemned the weekend's violence.
What cost Thomas his life was not a random incident nor an altercation while walking to a village party. The death of Thomas poses the risk of a dangerous shift in our society if we are not up to the task.
Many of the circumstances of Thomas's death remain unclear. 9 suspects have been placed under formal investigation for murder. 3 are minors. The others are between the ages of 19 and 22.
Sierra Leone President Julius Maada Bio said most of the leaders of an attack on a military barracks in the capital Freetown earlier on Sunday had been unarrested and arrested, adding that security operations and an investigation were ongoing.
Gunshots ring out across the Sierra Leone capital on Sunday morning. This district of Freetown is the location of a military barracks, the target of a group of attackers who reportedly attempted to break into the weapons store. They're also suspected of attacking prisons, allowing several inmates to escape. Authorities dealt with the incident quickly. By Sunday evening, the president said the situation was under control.
Most of the leaders have been arrested. Security operations and investigations are ongoing. We will ensure that those responsible are held accountable through due process.
Order restored, but nevertheless the government announced a curfew across the country, emptying the normally busy streets of Freetown. The government blamed the attack on what it called renegade soldiers. It's not the first time members of the military have been implicated in violence. After President Julius Maada Bio's re-election in June this year, his main opponent accused him of fixing the vote. Just weeks later, a number of soldiers and police officers were arrested on suspicion of subversion. They were accused of planning attacks on the one-year anniversary of anti-government unrest that left around 30 people dead.
And in sports news, Eswatini Rugby Union spokesperson Phumlani Gumede says capacitating local coaches, especially at 7-a-side level, is one of their main objectives as it contributes to the development of the sport in the country. Gumede was speaking when the association was conducting a workshop this past weekend at Lobamba. Moving on to darts, Eswatini Royal Insurance has once again done it by offering a sponsorship package to Eswatini Darts Association amounting to 150,000 Malangeni, which sees an increase of 30,000 Malangeni from the previous year. The new sponsorship will be played in 2024. And that's it for our English news and international news. Let's go for a net break. We'll be back shortly.
What do you think the best part of traveling is? Is it the food, or is it the conversation, or is it the sights and sound? If you're ready to explore, we are ready to show you the best way how. We'll give you access to the best luxury getaway sites in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and of course show you vacation sites that suit your budget, because you do not need a lot of money to actually have a great time. Join us on the next adventure on Buhle Bethu, only on Eswatini TV.
Let me tell you about my crush. Ngenzane inhlitiyo yami embi kwakho njengesidanga.
Ngondle isiswayo.
It is 3 in the afternoon. We are back in the living.
For men are so kind towards creation more than they even were to their own creator.
I am the greatest of this generation. They'll be calling me the girl who made poetry look cool, yo. Cool.
Nolosanza kwesivilela besivedile ukuthi isidaba sikhuluma kabanti nge-snake bite awareness njengoba kumla ukuthi ihlobo selungenile lokushona nje ukuthi netinyoka nato sesikhathi daso. Umbiko wenhlangano nje i-Health Action International uyaveta ukuthi emhlabeni wonke bamvula abalonywa tinyoka bakhubateke batingulungwane letinge emakhulu lasihlanu 500,000 kanti labashiya emhlabeni batingulungwane letilikhulu nemashumi lamane 140,000. Inhlangano ke Eswatini Anti-Venom Foundation miningi imitamo leseyendile kuzama nje kufundisa sive ukuthi batiphephisa kanjani etinyokeni. I'm joined by Zakhele Hlophe lomuhla lo coordinator volunteer rescue volunteers khona lapha Eswatini kiyo inhlangano Anti-Venom Foundation. Ukhuluma kabanti nje ngemsebenzi lasebayendile nekuthi nje ngabe vele mhlambe basita ema victims lamangaki nje ehlobo njalo ngeminyaka. Sekuvusele Zakhele siyabonga ukuthi kube nathi lomhla ekseni. I think sasibonile nje imibiko leminingi nanisolo niyaveta ku social media pages ukuthi vele tinyoka setiphumile ama activities vele ayendeka lapha nalapha tinyoka niyadibona futhi bamfu bayashaya bayanibikela ngetinyoka labati ibonako. Ingabe vele mhlambe lesimo sikanjani nje solokucala vele nje i-season yayo yato tinyoka.
Ngibingelele bathanzi bemsakato iSwatini TV. Kuchaza sisi isizini yethu yetinyoka iyaye iqale nga September. Sicetha na ukuthi 31 August nakuqala inyanga yenyoni siqala isizini lenje. Solo siqalile isizini yethu lekhona. Ema calls etinyoka lesike sawathola. Ngithitena ngibala ngakhanza ukuthi sesithole 280 wema calls kusukela kuqale September kuze kube nginamuhla. Gani bantu la sebalunywe tinyoka kusukela kuqale September kuze kube kunamuhla bang 121. Le kuthusa kakhulu mawubuka eminyakeni lophelile ngoba eminyakeni lophelile ngalesikhathi lesi bantu balunywe tinyoka bebang 84. Lokukhomba ukuthi cha kulomnyaka kuthanza kukhuphukela angathi noma ukuthi kumbe sibene ebusika lobushisawo bekungabanzi kakhulu noma kumbe ukuthi kushisa kakhulu but ke tiphumile vele tinyoka tiyabiyela tiyadla ngoma ngesikhathi sasebusika atidli tisuke tikbromation ngilati talana khona tiba inactive seticaleke nyalo ti active.
So tibakhanza phi letinyoka kambe mhlambe tibangenele etindlini mhlambe tibakhanza ngaphandle emahlathini nekuva nje ukuthi ngitiphi letinhlobo nje yokhanza ukuthi bamfu bayabika ukuthi sokhanza ukuthi solonywe inyoka inyoka lemlumile lo yomflo.
Tinyoka abantu tibalume emakhaya kukhona labo letibalume etindleleni but bancane kunalabo letibaluma emakhaya. Tinyoka letihlupha kakhulu kuba timfeti nemabululu. Tiyabonakala netimamba ngoba nawo buka ku 121 lesinaye namuhla. Bantu labalunywe timamba bantu labang9 kube ngema bites la serious bathola ne-antivenom baphila. Le kungasiyo inyoka lebonakala lekungiyokuphela lebonakalayo. Tikhona naleti letinye tindlondlo naleti letingalumani but nje kuchaza tinyoka leti sihlupha kakhulu kuba imfeti nelibululu. Ema bites ethu lamaningi asuke achamuka kule tinyoka lethu. Yes.
Sakanjani ngoba ngihlale nisho ukuthi vele mangibuhlanga nenyoka agamela ukuthi ngithuke but sibantu inyoka yimfo mhlambe lesingayibona every day vele kutaba khona lokho kuthuka. Ingabe mhlambe yes ngenda njani vele mangihlangana nenyoka ngidiphephisa kanjani mina nje kuze ngidawuvikela ukuthi ingangilumi.
Ngichaze siswami. Kusaba inyoka yinvo yetitukulwane letalelene yachubeka iqhamuke emuva kubokhokho bethu nabo ngeke sibasole. Kepha ngekwati nangekufunza inyoka akufuneki siyesabe, kepha kufuneka siyinikete inhlonipho. Kukhona vele kuthuka nawe uyibona, kepha kufuneka bese uyakhumbula ukuthi lesilwane lesi asisiso silwane lesinedlame. Atheki asisukeli, kepha ngithi lesisukela inyoka. Yona isuke ilwa nekutivikela. Na ubona inyoka kufuneka into yokucala lekumele uyende, asisithi uyadibana nenyoka senibukene emehlweni, kufuneka uyinikete inhlonipho. Uyinika kanjani inhlonipho? Ukuthi ume uyidedele ihambe, angeke ize ithi yazi yakubona ngeke kuze kwendeke ite kuwe, itawunje nje indlela ihambe. Nangabe ubona ukuthi iyaphutha kukhwesha, kungenteka kube kukhona leyikuvile leyithiya kiwo noma magundvane noma yini ifuna kudla. Deda kancane ungendi ema movements latayitfusa, deda kahle kancane seungathi ke masokhweshile songacala ugijima. Ungayibangela umsindo ngoba itawuva ngazuthi seyiyathreatenisheka. Ifune kulwa. Yes.
Okay.
Ene lokunye longakwenda nawuhamba, ngoba nawuhamba uthambela nje iyeva yona ukuthi yabo lo muntu lo uyathambela. Idat bacela noma itimele nayiva ngoba yona ikuva kucala wena ungayiboni usanyathela laphazi. Lokunye longakwenda ukuthi mawuhamba asisithi uhamba ehlathini noma uhamba kusebusuku, kukahle ukuthi ufake icathulo letivalekile uphathene kwekukhanyisa. Ungahambi ubuthathindwe longatiboni kahle ebusuku ngoba kunema bites la kendakalawo uve ukuthi umfana ubone info wayibutha kani bekuyinyoka imlungu. Yes.
So kungenteka ukuthi ukhanze ukuthi mhlambe ikhona la ikwate khona phambilini seyihlangana nami, mina ngithambela kahle nje nami ngifuna lokuyihlonipha but seyikwatile yona. So kungenteka yini ukuthi vele ngilimade mina ngalokuthi ikwatile la isuka khona, so the next victim letawuhlangana nayo vele itawatheka noma itawustrike.
Yes, liciniso sisi. Lokho kubangwa ngunaba labatishaya kuletinyoka. Utayishaya lenyoka, ungayibulali ekubalekele noma ibhaca. Yona lapho seyisevalweni seyiyesaba. Yonke into ledibana nayo iyayiluma. Angeyilume abantu kuphela, iluma inkukhu, iluma inkomo, leyidibana nako lokuhambako iyaluma. Ikwatiswe nginangeyamuntu seyiyoluma umuntu longayindi lutho. Ngiko sizama ngato tonke indlela ukuthi simane sitibambe letinyoka. Kungcono lokuthi lo monakalo siuvimbe ngala usengayi ngale la ekutheni seyilume abantu.
Okay.
Yes. Akusiko ukuthi sitibambela kutithengisa noma sizama kunciphisa lo monakalo. Ene kusebenzele kakhulu ngoba sinema volunteer akhona cishe velonke ema volunteer ethu. Kona tikhona leto tindzawo la ukhanza ukuthi asikhona kufinyelela khona. Lokho kubangwa ukuthi uthole ukuthi kukhashane kude kwekuhamba ngoba ama volunteer etlamanye edetimoto.
Okay.
Kude kwekuhamba kulukhune ukuthi uhlanganise transport noma ungathi ufuna ukugibela ipublic. Ikhumbi yakhona encenye engakanye ekseni iyoze engcenzambama. Kule tindzawo leto kulukhuni ukuthi singasita but ke sisabukile. Kukhona laba sithembise kona sisabukile ukuthi encenye sitati cover leto tindzawo.
Okay.
Yebo.
So sithi phephisa kanjani nje ngibekise ngaphandle ebaleni kude sitawuvikela tinyoka ukuthi kungabi vele indzawo la tihlala khona, sena kanjani nje mhlambe ukuthi phephisa ebaleni?
Ngawuqala ngikhulume ngendzaba yesibiba manje. Bani labaningi bathembela esibibeni. Bathembela kubo magazine, bathembela kubo shipush. Bathembela kunana kulabathini jani betinyoka lokunukako. Tonke letinto letoke sizamile ukuthi ibuka ukuthi iyasebenta yini. Atikake tasisebentela.
Okay.
Yes. Into lesiyibone isisebentela kuhloba. Ngoba kwahloba kwakhanya kwaba bete kungcola. Inyoka ngeke uzuyibone. Inyoka ithandza la khona kungabukeki khona. Utayikhanza kinyoka lapho. Kunekwenteka utawuthi endlini ubone na inyoka lencane le green lele bathi inyoka yemadloti. Yes, athi lo munye musi ngiyacleana mina kuhlobile. Le nyoka leyo ithandza na imigololo lemincane legrey bathi bochakazane ngemakhekhosi ithandze kabi ke lemigololo leyo ke nangabe kuke kwenteka yawubona ngeke uhlala ungayikhanzi la khathe endlini lokho kubangwa ukuthi udawuthi na ucleana wena awuticlean into takho letilatula sekunemahuhu nemaphela uchamuke lo mgololo utofuna namahuhu nemaphela la khathe endlini le nyoka ite ilandzela lo mgololo ukhanza la khathe endlini sekunaleminye seyifike iyahlala ke iyakhelana
kahle kahle kumele sihlale lapho kuhlobe khona nje bebede inkontonkonto
kukahle ukuthi kuhlobe vele sisi ngiyaye ngithi nangichaza nangihambile ngifundzisa ngithi ngiyacela tingubo tebantfwana ngoba siyati kunemakhaya la khona abantwana basala la phasi kuthi eksena akasidomvana nakavuka ume uqinisekise ukuthi undlulile ugcebile tingubo hayi ukuthi utawumbona sekaphuma hamba esikolweni uyabuya ungene tingutsheni kunema incidents la kendakalawo uve ukuthi umfana ulunywe inyoka bekalela le nyoka leyo ifike yangena la tingutsheni lo mfana uyikhanze seyila tingutsheni walala wagicikela tikwayo yes yase seyiyamluma nathi nje sibantu labadzala kuyinvo lenhle ukuthi kona muhle umbhedze mawugcebiwe une-bed cover but ngiva ngathi kungcono ukuthi ubokhipha leti ngubo ukuthi beke ekugcineni nawe ubuya nzambama ucalele phasi ucebe umbhedze lokho kutakuphephisa ngoba utawati nangabe kukhona lokungenile utawukhona ukukubona lokunye lokusitako ngema-mosquito nets ayisiwo akasite enibuzdaneni kuphela nasenyokeni ingakusita i-mosquito net nawuhlala umbhedze wakho uwuthathe in angeke le nyoka izikhona kungena la khathe embhedzeni itawuvinjwa ngile net.
Okay. So kugcina nje kubuda nje ezakhele ukuthi sengilumile inyoka tinyathelo tinile kumele ngitithathe nje letiphuthumako nokuthi ngabe ngiyalifola inisito etibhedlela yanti venom iyatfolakala imvelo.
Nakwendeka ulunywa inyoka ngichaze ngithi asesithi ulunywa imamba uyabona ukuthi lo muntu uphelelwa ngemandla uyayenza uyabona ukuthi vele kufa kuyasonzela into le kumele uyende na imluma into yekucala kumele ubopha ke phana unesiqiniseko ukuthi lena imamba lapho kumele ubophe kuletinye tinyoka akufuneki ubophe ngoba lapho ke utibeka engotini ukuthi bodokotela bakujube yes ngalokubopha lo monakalo uba mningi lesikhathi ubophile imamba mayikulumile le venom yayo lo lesihlungu sayo si affecta lokusebenta kwalomtimba siqhalisa lokusebenta kwalomtimba inhlitiyo lamamasela la sithi inhlitiyo abane breakdown wonke umtimba emehlweni bengathi awusaboni awusakhona ukukhuluma uyayenza uyahlanda ene letinkomba leto ucala kutibona esikhatsini lesingaba ngu5 minutes kuye eDulu utawucala kubona ukuthi kukhona lokwendakala lokungahambi kahle into ekucala lekumele uyende ukuthi ujakele esibhedlela yes okay sesibhedlela la khona ke batafike babone ukuthi lana simo sibi sine lesingamsita ngako kude batawube sebayasho ukuthi cha akahambe aye elu commission ngoba ngiso sibhedlela lesisebenzisako kulamalanga then nema private hospital nema private clinics anayo i-antivenom ikhona i-antivenom lekhona lengakhona ukuthi asakhele yona thi yakhiwe ngetinyoka tetutala Eswatini ifike nangaphosisa angisakhumbuli noma ngiJuly noma August angisakhumbuli kahle yes yathi mayifika akusiwo July athi the first quarter yeminyaka noma the second quarter ngisakhumbula but yathi mayifika wathi uhulumende usafuna kucala ayibuke kucala isengangene etibhedlela yes but bypassisa ukuthi ema private hospital nema private clinic angayisebenzisa na lo commission uyayisebenzisa ene ikhombe kusisebenzela kahle kakhulu ibambe futhi ishiphile Yes.
Okay.
Ishibhe kakhulu.
Yavakala simakhulu zakhele ke phake mbukeli inombolo nje lapho ungaxhumana nabo labo ema-volunteers solothe tibhala nje lapha ku-screen tikhona tiyabonakala mangabe ukwenteka ukhanza inyoka bayacela laba be-foundation vele ukuthi ungayibulali lokungenani vele umane uyidedele ushayele laba bema-volunteers inombolo nje tikhona lapha ku-screen asibahle timangithena sibuya sitabe sikhuluma ngetindzaba te-road safety awareness naThembani Dlamini.
Lifestyle is all about inspiration, drive, and swag. Eswatini Lifestyle is informative and fun while covering all aspects of life, be it people, places, and trends in the kingdom of Eswatini. We got you covered. The focus is on the quality of life. Eswatini Lifestyle will spark your interest. Catch Eswatini Lifestyle every Friday at 7:30 p.m. on Eswatini TV, Sibugo Semaswati.
Sekunetingoti temgwaco letsola tendeka lapha evene kakhulukati nje 3 months nasibonje 3 months emva kokuthi solo imibiko solo iyangena sifuna ukukhulumisana ke nalaba sokwakhona etiko laka public works and transport kuva ukuthi ngabe sabaphumile invele esiveni ukuhlola dona timotolo ukuthi diphilile invele ukuthi idingahamba emgwacweni sinaye lapha education and information officer sokwakhona ka road safety department etiko laka public works and transport Thembani Dlamini. Ngosi yasekusele siyabonga ukuthi ube nathi lo mhla ekseni ma reports solo siyawabona mihla yonke ukuthi sekunengoti le endeke kuphi sekunengoti le endeke kuphi kumbe kusinike kanje sithombe sekuthi vele imibiko lenitfolile nje nelitiko solokucala umnyaka tingoti dibenganani nekuthi lokho kube sekumbangela timali tinganani kumkhosa kanganani nje hulumende kuzama nje kubhekana naleto tingoti leto.
Ngoba kuvela nje kuye umbukeli ukuthi ingodi letendeka kusatibona vele tona tinyenti kulamalanga sinatolo kubona ukuthi ingodi akugcini nje ngokuthi uthole ukuthi imoto ishayisene mangabe imoto ishayisene bisuke imoto ishayisene daba tinyenti ngaleso sikhathi makwendeka leyo ngodi noma uthole ukuthi kunebantu labanyenti akusuke basese bayasishiya emhlabeni makwendeka leyo ngodi lokho ukuthi simasibuka nje etiko lokho kuyabona ukuthi yini lengakafanele ukuthi kuyendeke nalesithombe lokusiniketa lona elive ukuthi sithombe lesingasizi lesizelo lesihle because kunemgomo lesawusho ukuthi sinethubela nga-2021 sakukhisa ingodi ngalokho kungenani lo 50%.
Ngabukela ke washa umkhukhu every Sunday at 3 p.m.
What do you think the best part of traveling is? Is it the food, or is it the conversation, or is it the sights and sound? If you're ready to explore, we are ready to show you the best way how. We'll give you access to the best luxury getaway sites in the Kingdom of Eswatini, and of course show you vacation sites that suit your budget, because you do not need a lot of money to actually have a great time. Join us on the next adventure on Buhlebethu, only on Eswatini TV.
Asimile sinemukele sicolise ngaloko kuphatha miseka kwesound yethu solo nje sisachubeka nexoxisana naye Thembani Dlamini lisuka khona ka public works bosateka yona nkosi indzaba ukuthi lama accidents vele nyawabona vele kwangathi inombolo diyanyuka
Kungasho nje kungaba kusho kumlaleli ukuthi ema-accidents siyawabona ayaphakama futhi lawa ngema-accidents lapho uthula ukuthi labantu labasuke balimele leyo ndzawo noma-ke labantu osishiya emhlabeni uthola sesebanyenti lokho kwenta ukuthi litiko bese liyabona ukuthi kukhona lifanele likwende ukuthi letame kunciphisa tingoti because kunciphisa tingoti emgwaqweni is not umsebenzi welitiko lotfana kodwa ukuthi sibambisane sisonke thina sikuyo lo mkhankaso ukuthi sinciphisa tingoti emgwaqweni lokwendekile nje ukuthi mhla ka-15 besilontsha i-festive season yethu silapha ngaloluhlupheko sinabo bonke ke labo labathinzeka kuma kwenteka tingoti losho sisonke we pledged ukuthi sinikela ukuthi sinciphise tingoti le festive season ibe picture ukuthi sibambene and sidoda kunciphisa tingoti ngaloko kubambisana lesikwendako nje ukuthi siyaphuma siya kuso ke sive sinema information centers lesiwabekile whereby sifike sehlanganele ndzawonye sonke thina nje sithinzekako sime sinikete information but akusho lokuthi just because siyaxoxisana nemshayeli nebagibeli kusho ukuthi uma ngabe sekwendeka sikukhona sekubonako lokungasikahle kusho ukuthi siyamyekela umuntu ence but uma ngabe nje yabonakala ukuthi imoto yakho ayisiyo lephilile vele labangona kumsebenzi wabo kuloko ukuhlola lokho bayakwenda so ukuthi sinawo emaphoyisa sinabo bo inspector labaqhamuka etiko labahlola ukuthi imoto ngabe iphilile yini vele phindze futhi senawo wa tourism nabo baxoxa nedivakashe ukuthi nabakubona ukuthi uya bagcugcutele ukuthi uvakashe wonke nje lothinzekako ukhona emgwaqweni vele sizoshumela livangele ukuthi sinciphisa tingoti emgwaqweni ngetulu kwaloko start ezachubeka emalanga siya ku Christmas sitophuma siye nasema bus rank lapho sibona khona abantu banyenti labantu asuke bavelile leyo ndzawo uma ke sifika ebus rank nakhona sachubeka sikhulumisane nalo mshayeli nalo hamba ngetinyawo nawo ngoba bus rank bamhiba nabafika khona ngiloyo sabo sikhuluma naye nje ngekwesidingo sakhe ukuthi yena udobe enani sawufika esikanekise nje sihlale phansi umuntu acoce nathi lapho nje sikhasile sithi sinake nje ukuthi tingoti tinciphe emgwaqweni
phindze nje ukuhlabalimi nje nkosi nihlola ini kahle kahle nanithi nje nihlola imoto nibuka kuzokela kumathaya ukuthi asaphilile yini amabriki nanani malights nihlola ini kahle kahle vele nize nibe sure ukuthi no le moto le ilungele kuba semgwaqweni
lana sibuka nje kuphila kwemoto kusho ukuthi konke ngoba uma sithi nje sinabo inspector lababuya khona etiko bona baqala ukuthi baqale bahlole amaphepha emoto ukuthi ngabe la ma permits ngabe nje imoto ephalasive i-permit yayo ikhona iphelile i-license ikhona ingileyo ne-public nawo bese bayinca sebahlola le moto ukuthi ilungele ukuthi ngaba semgwaqweni lonke emaphutha lakhona emotweni kufuna bayakutshela ukuthi hamba uyolungisa so imoto yakho itofika ku festive season imoto lephilile letokhona ukuthi ikwade ihambe emgwaqweni ngoba siyathi kusinyalo nje lokusekulesi lesi vele siyavakasha sisenda nemaphathi ekuvala umnyaka nako konke lokho lotho ukuthi imoto letikhona emgwaqweni fabe imoto letiphilile ngabe imoto letfala sive noma imoto yakho nje yokuthi mawuthi ivakashela umsebenzisi wemoto kube imoto lephilile ngazo sonke isikhathi.
Okay, no, ngiyavakala Nkosi ngenxa yesikhathi sithemba ukuthi sizaphinde sibe nawe ehleleni festive season ngikhona icala manje sithemba sawubuye ube nathi uphinde sikhulume nje Donaldinza bade kuphepha emgwaqeni uva ukuthi ngabe balitiko vele bendani kahle kahle. It's 1 minute before 8 o'clock sesifika maphetheleni ehlelo lifu lamhla. Thank you for joining us kanti mosonza kuzivulela makhathatiko sengakhona kusibukela ka YouTube Eswatini TV nibe nelisuku leluhle. We will see you tomorrow. Nsale kahle.